From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, they say in the Bible, in the end days, people will run to and fro frantically, and the time will speed up. And it kind of feels like that right now. We've got David Knight in the other studio. He's been on the last hour, 2 hours, with live coverage of the historic Comey testimony. And I've got both the nightly news crew and the radio crew in here frantically scrambling and doing an incredible job grabbing bombshell clip after bombshell clip after bombshell clip. And most of the mainstream media is actually ignoring these bombshells. But Donald Trump Jr., that Matt Drudge is linked to and that we're linked to, is tweeting basically what we're saying in live time, but not because he's watching us. He has sent some of our tweets out. It's because the same thing's happening. As I'm sitting there writing the tweets, trying to get ready for the show, but I can't even get ready because I'm watching the hearing, I tweet out, did you just see what Comey said? He says he gave his friends the memos to give to the press. He just admitted he's one of the main leakers. Incredible bombshell. We are exporting that clip off C-SPAN. When I walked in here two minutes ago, it was on the computer exporting over so we can play it for you. We don't have the big giant, instant replay studios. Then, about 40 minutes ago, the even bigger bombshell, he totally, absolutely, completely admitted that he committed perjury to Congress. He said, I have been influenced. They have tried to influence me, going back to his memo in February, when 2 months later, on May 3rd, he says, no one ever tried to influence me. This is incredible. Now, if you want to hear and see the feed without, the radio show or the ads, we've got live, continual coverage right into the next hour when they then go into closed session in the Senate of the hearing with David Knight. Infowars.com/show. A lot of our stations grab our feeds. If our stations want to get the feed there with limited commentary during breaks with David Knight, doing a great job, that feed is there for you. If radio listeners and TV viewers want to see the David Knight feed, Infowars.com/show, the front page of Infowars.com. You can see our live feed, Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube, you name it. We've got all those feeds up there right now. And coming back to the next segment, I'm going to go to some of the live feed. And I'll tell you why. You want to probably hear it, some of you. But also, I have got to get in that control room because there are like 11 clips that I was sweating over just in the last hour looking at these clips. I mean, this is insane. And we've got to get these on Twitter. We've got to get these up on YouTube so you can spread them fast. Infowars.com is going to have that front page war room in the next hour with Rob Dew and Michael Zimmerman and Travis Knight and everybody else in there grabbing these clips out while they run these 2 live TV/radio shows. That's why we've got to grow the crew here at InfoWars. That's why your sponsorship and support is more important than ever. Like Super Blue, now in a better tube, higher quality. It was already a great tube, but a new, better tube, fluoride-free. It's got the colloidal silver. It's got the iodine in it. It's got the peppermint, the tea tree oil. It's amazing. And now back in stock with a tube I picked that I think is a better tube, softer tube, a little bit larger diameter port on it so you can get more of the toothpaste out. It is concentrate toothpaste, ladies and gentlemen. No fillers. Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste bringing you this live coverage and analysis and the multiple feeds at Infowars.com, the syndicated radio, the TV, and so much more. 1,358 reviews, 4.8 stars by Power Reviews, third-party site. Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, now 33% off at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com, or call toll-free 888-253-3139. And we are trying to hire a lot of new people. We're getting new engineers, new switchers, new editors, new more reporters. We are really trying to expand the face of the globalists because so much news is coming out. So much is unfolding. But when we return, the live coverage feed, and then Kit Daniels has got the article going up as we speak. He already found the video, but he had to link to it in a larger clip. We're getting the clips up ourselves of him perjuring himself and admitting he's the leaker. Unbelievable. All right, folks, we have got 2 different live transmissions going on right now, and I'm going to cut over to the live coverage of Comey that David Knight is hosting during the breaks here in just a moment. We have Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas questioning the former FBI director, James Comey, right now. Now, I'm going to go here in just a minute or two to the live feed. If you want a total uninterrupted commercial-free feed, it's at Infowars.com. Our stations out there and other folks are welcome to pick that feed up that has limited commentary with David Knight. When I go to breaks today, you can also tune over to that feed if you'd like as well. Both feeds are on the front page of Infowars.com. This is the live syndicated radio/TV broadcast. This is Infowars Live. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Now, when we play 10, 15 minutes of this, I'm going to come back because we've got a big raft of clips, and our great crew on the TV side and the radio side have got all their own clips. We're going to come back and play, first off, 2 bombshell clips that should be top headlines everywhere. It came out of Comey's mouth. It's completely clear, and the only people that get it are Infowars.com, DrudgeReport.com that I've seen so far, and, of course, Donald Trump Jr. is getting it and tweeting in live time exactly what we're seeing. I've been tweeting on my Twitter at Real Alex Jones. Ladies and gentlemen, about 45 minutes ago, Comey said that the president did order him and did try to basically influence him, something he said no one had ever tried to get him to do. But now he's spinning it semantically. But it's clearly perjury, one way or the other, because he said May 3rd, back from the February meetings, that had never happened. Okay? Now, that's one big issue. Even bigger is he said he gave memos to friends to give them to the press. I can't believe he said it. I saw him say it and almost had a heart attack. So, again, we've got all these live feeds going. We have to then go into the feed that we're archiving live time, grab it out, and then put it into the live feed back. So, right now I'm going to fade over to the other studio where David Knight is with live coverage with the live feed. But this is amazing. Examiner just got it. See, James Comey admits leaking his Trump memos to the press. This is incredible. But we've got the other incredible headline going up right now at Infowars.com that Comey committed perjury. And in the same article, we're going to have the subheadline, and he admits he leaked memos to the press. That is so illegal. That is such a national security violation. That is so unbelievable. Confirmed, Comey committed perjury to Congress. New York Times debunked. Trump didn't directly order end of Flynn investigation. That's powerful, but in the same article, we have the video as well where he admits that he gave it to the press. In fact, here is the leaked memo clip now, then I'll go to the live feed. Here's the clip.
The president tweeted on Friday, after I got fired, that I better hope there's not tapes. I woke up in the middle of the night on Monday night, because it didn't dawn on me originally, that there might be corroboration for our conversation. There might be a tape. And my judgment was I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel. And so I asked a close friend of mine to do it.
And was that Mr.
After
Wittes?
the firing? No, no.
Who was that?
A good friend of mine who's a professor at Columbia Law School.
That is so over-the-top sensational. I don't even know what to say. That is so illegal. And, of course, it came out at the time that Trump thought it was Comey. And when Trump was saying, give me loyalty, he meant stop leaking national security information. The FBI director committing crimes with the media. And he comes out and admits, in another clip we've got coming up, that Loretta Lynch did try to tell him to leave Hillary alone on the emails. And he did. He did close the investigation. And she did go on that airplane with William Jefferson Clinton, former president of the United States. I mean, the crimes they are committing in front of everyone. I've never heard or seen anything like this. And he's doing it in a confidence game because he knows it's all coming out. He's saying it all to act like, yeah, I strangled my wife and buried her in the back. Everybody does it. So let's go to the live feed with David Knight covering it, and then I'm going to come back with the other clips. This has reeked from the beginning. This has stunk to high heaven, and I am definitely hit peak point in my life in media covering stuff. I've never seen anything. This is so bonkers. This is so over the top because the media is going to act like Trump did something. I mean, folks, this is so illegal. Let's go back, ladies and gentlemen of the live feed.
It's possible, but I don't remember any.
Do you know if the Attorney General was involved, in fact involved, in any aspect of the Russia investigation after his recusal on the 2nd of March?
I don't. I would assume not, but I don't. Well, let me say it this way. I don't know of any information that would lead me to believe he did something to touch the Russia investigation after the recusal.
In your written testimony, you indicate that you...
Again, this is Kamala Harris. She's a newly elected Democrat senator. She is trying to... First, she did a series of events saying, well, are you aware of this or this or this? And, of course, he can't comment on any specifics of the investigation. So they can throw out any kind of unsubstantiated innuendo or allegation, and he'll have to say, well, I can't comment on that. So it sounds like they are true. Then she comes after Attorney General Sessions. When did he recuse himself? Did he have anything to do with this firing? And yet he's saying that, no, I don't see anything with that. I don't see anything that was political in my firing, with the exception of one point in which he seemed to contradict himself, which he did contradict himself in his sworn testimony earlier, that there was no attempt to shut down the investigation for political purposes.
But I don't have a clear recollection of that. He didn't say anything.
And on that same February 14th meeting, you said you understood the president to be requesting that you drop the investigation. After that meeting, however, you received 2 calls from the president, March 30th and April 11th, where the president talked about a cloud over his presidency. Has anything you've learned in the months since your February 14th meeting changed your understanding of the president's request? I guess it would be what he has said in public documents or public interviews?
Correct.
Okay.
And again, what he had said before was, they were very clear. They said, he said, I hope that nothing is going to happen with Flynn. And that was a day after Flynn had been fired. And then a Democrat senator talking to him said, well, that's all he said. But the body language made it clear that he really wanted you to shut this down for political purposes. And he said, oh, yes, oh, yes. So he has contradicted himself and his sworn testimony that there was never any pressure put on him to try to shut down this investigation for political purposes. He said, yes, people have told us to shut down investigations because they weren't productive, but not for political purposes. And then he contradicts himself today. So it's very interesting how this is going to go. He was walking a very thin line as he was doing that, but of course we've also learned that he was leaking information to the New York Times, and he has shut down as false New York Times stories. So we've had very interesting developments here regarding the fake news from the New York Times. I'm David Knight here. This is our live coverage of the Senate Intelligence Committee hearing. This is James Comey in his coup attempt against Donald Trump, the coup attempt that is joined by the mainstream media and the Washington establishment. We go back to that testimony hearing. This is John Cornyn, Republican from Texas.
Crime has been committed. Do they have a duty to report it?
That's a good question. I don't know that there's a legal duty to report it. They certainly have a cultural, ethical duty to report it.
See something, say something. Why didn't you say something when you saw something at the time?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've not thought about it before. I don't know where the legal... There's a statute that prohibits misprision of a felony, knowing of a felony, and taking steps to conceal it. But this is a different question.
He doesn't know the law. He's the FBI director.
Let me be clear. I would expect any FBI agent who has information about a crime being committed to report it.
Me too.
But where you rest that obligation, I don't know. It exists.
And let me ask you as a general proposition, if you're trying to make an investigation go away, is firing an FBI director a good way to make that happen? By that I mean...
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I'm obviously hopelessly biased, given that I was the one fired.
I understand it's personal.
No, given the nature of the FBI,
in other words, you're taking it personal.
I meant what I said. There's no indispensable people in the world, including at the FBI, that there's lots of bad things about me not being at the FBI. Most of them are for me, but the work's going to go on as before.
So nothing that's happened that you've testified to here today has impeded the investigation of the FBI or Director Mueller's commitment to get to the bottom of this from the standpoint of the FBI and the Department of Justice. Would you agree with that?
Correct. Especially the appointment of former Director Mueller is a critical part of that equation.
Let me take you back to the Clinton email investigation. I think you've been cast as a hero.
Talk about that.
Or a villain, depending on the whose political ox is being gored. At many different times during the course of the Clinton email investigation, even now perhaps. But You clearly were troubled by the conduct of the sitting Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, when it came to the Clinton email investigation. You mentioned the characterization that you'd been asked to accept that this was a matter and not a criminal investigation, which you said it was. There was the matter of President Clinton's meeting on the tarmac with the sitting Attorney General at a time when his wife was subject to a criminal investigation, and you suggested that perhaps there are other matters
in just a couple of days before she's going to be face a deposition by the FBI
setting. But it seems to me that you clearly believe that Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, had an appearance of a conflict of interest on the.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got live commercial-free feeds at Infowars.com for our radio stations. We're going to break, and we will come back with more of the live feed. And we'll also start playing clips that we have of him clearly waffling and perjuring himself in different congressional testimonies versus what he says was in the memo that he leaked to the press. That's right. He leaked basically a lie, according to his testimony now, to the press. So he's leaking information that's also lies, a double helping. Alex Jones here. We are back live with my intrepid crew and our great affiliates across the country. David Knight is streaming on the internet and to some stations, and folks that are picking up our live coverage and live feed of the Comey hearings with limited analysis by David Knight, who'll be joining us a little bit later in the broadcast. Those feeds are on Infowars.com right now. You can see David Knight over there giving live analysis of the hearings via the C-SPAN feed. If you want that live coverage, you go to Infowars.com. I'll be taking excerpts throughout this hour and some of the live feed. My head is spinning. I have never been running around like a chicken with my head cut off like I've been the last few hours because of the clips we're about to start playing now and then ongoing as the hearing continues. This is beyond a nothing burger. This is a treason burger, ladies and gentlemen. Comey admits he leaked the memo to the New York Times, which they then admit got the story wrong. Oh, so they used a memo, misrepresented what was in it to hurt the president. That's what I told you day one. Then he wouldn't give the memo to Congress. So he admits he gave this memo to a friend in the press. And now CNN has had to admit fake news about Comey testimony and, of course, issued a retraction. CNN issues correction. Headline changes following testimony. Sorry for the fake news. I mean, this is just mind-blowing. But my head's spinning right now. This is so many things. This is Comey admitting he put out the memo. Comey then admits that the New York Times got the story completely wrong from the memo. So he commits a crime with a memo that he leaks to the press that they then misrepresent, which we know it was meant to do, because that memo, the way the New York Times reported it and the way the Washington Post reported it, completely and totally contradicted his testimony on May 3rd, 2 months later. So now he's got to come back and clean all this up, but it gets worse. He then tells multiple senators that no one tried to influence him on Russia, but through his surrogates that he's leaked to, he said that they did try to influence Russia, on the Russia. All Comey now says he felt influenced on was leave Flynn alone, he's a good guy. I hope you can see it through to not go after him. That's not ordering him. So that's a lie too. All of this is a bunch of lawyers trying to spin and confuse and manipulate the public. That's exactly what it is. The takeaway is none of it's real. It's all fake from pillar to post. Then they've got other clips dealing with the Russia dossier, Pissgate, all of it, admitting that's all fake now. But remember BuzzFeed and all the rest of them and Daily Beast coming out and saying I had edited a tape of Comey when he's asked if anybody's tried to influence him, the Attorney General or anybody. He says, no, no one has. That means no one has because it'd be a pretty big deal. They then spun it that didn't mean the president. But then today, Senator Burr's talking to him, and he says specifically the president didn't. So we're real, BuzzFeed and the Daily Beast, you're fake. And CNN has to admit they're fake. We were right again, specifically on target, exactly as it was. There was a memo that he never filed with the Justice Department like he's supposed to do, that he then gave to the media. That's a whole other crime. Then the media claimed it was national security information. Well, a memo like that would be, so that's another crime. Then the media misrepresents what it is, and Comey lets that go on for over a month and a half before he comes out and says that it was misrepresented. On and on and on. A tissue, a spectrum, an entire world of lies. We're going to come back in the next long segment, go to all these clips. Rubio on Flynn. Senator Burr, flashback, would have been a big deal. Nobody tried to influence him. Loretta Lynch did try to influence him on the email. That's a big deal, because then he did kill the investigation. Wow. Wow. New York Times, Russia collusion story, wrong in the main. That's why they're now shifting gears to, oh, it's a criminal investigation in case somebody who was innocent tried to not answer questions right and claim they lied to the FBI. That's how it always goes. Incredible. Meanwhile, Hillary and her people get 30+ million from the Russians, shell out our uranium, meet secretly with Putin. I mean, Megyn Kelly's running around doing interviews with Putin. She's got more connection to Putin than General Flynn does, just being at the same banquet hall with him. That's what Putin said to her. He said, you should be arrested. If Flynn's been fired for going to a public event that I was at, then you should be arrested. And people say she got destroyed in an interview. She got destroyed because she's been given an impossible job. Megyn Kelly's probably the hardest interview I've ever done. She's a very sharp lawyer. She got the better of me in the interview she did the other night. That's why I'm mad. Because it was just a lawyer asking the same questions 5-6 times to twist it all into knots on purpose. But see, she's got an impossible job to sell, and so does the media on Russia collusion, because it didn't happen.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run.
Bombshell clips. Bombshell clips. Bombshell clips straight ahead. Everybody tune in now to your local stations. You're listening to live coverage of the historic former FBI Director James Comey hearings in Congress that has blown up in their face. MSM is in damage control mode right now, going, oh, Comey leaked to the press because it was the right thing to do. Oh, and then we took the information and used the wall of secrecy to lie about what was in the memo. He's now said the media got it wrong. And he said, oh, they did try to influence me. Oh, but they didn't try to influence me in congressional hearings. We have all these clips. This is unbelievable. Oh, and Loretta Lynch tried to influence me. And guess what? She did. You dropped the investigation into the email servers. This is all coming up. I've got 7 of these clips I'm going to play in just a moment. But I want to go to some of David Knight's live coverage of one of the biggest anti-American globalist piece of garbages out there, John McCain of the Keating Five, anti-gun, pro-open borders, funding the radical jihadis, the Arab Spring, working with the EU to open the borders up, to bring in refugees. I mean, John McCain is about as conservative as Mao Zedong. Let's go to John McCain.
The campaign was ongoing when I left.
You just made it clear in what you said. This is a, quote, big deal, unquote. I think it's hard to reconcile. In one case, you reach a complete conclusion, and the other side, you have not. And you, in fact, obviously, there's a lot more there, as we know, as you called it, a, quote, big deal. She's one of the candidates. But in her case, you say there would be no charges, and in the case of President Trump, the investigation continues. What has been brought out in this hearing is more and more emphasis on the Russian engagement and involvement in this campaign. How serious do you think this was?
Comey just came out 20 minutes ago and said that there wasn't evidence of it.
Say something, be clear. We have not announced, and there was no predication to announce, an investigation of whether the Russians may have coordinated with Secretary Clinton's campaign. Secretary Clinton's campaign.
No, but they may not have been involved with their campaign. They were involved with the entire presidential campaign, obviously.
Of course.
Oh, obviously.
Yes,
oh, of course.
And that is an investigation.
They run everything.
That began last summer, and so far as I'm aware, continues.
So both...
When is somebody going to investigate Comey's connection to Christopher Steele, who came up with the dirty dossier. Were they going to investigate the connection between Steele and the Clinton campaign? As Grassley said, this raises questions as to whether or not the FBI is independent from politics and whether or not the Obama administration used law enforcement and intelligence agencies for political ends. This is what the Senate Intelligence Committee should be investigating.
That's right. You're listening to live
coverage. The
coverage.
Committee should be concerned about whether or not our own intelligence agencies were used for political purposes. There's ample...
Again, David Knight is giving you live coverage on the feeds at Infowars.com. You can go to Infowars.com and find those feeds of his live coverage. That's David Knight with Infowars.com. He is running a live feed of the hearings and only giving limited commentary. And unfortunately, the way we have the feeds going today, I can't talk over him. He can't talk over me, so we have to cut each other off when one of the other people comes up. Let's go to a few more minutes of this. I'm going to come back with our clips.
Yeah, I get that, Senator. Honestly, I'll tell you what, this is speculation, but what I concluded at the time is in his memory, he was searching back to our encounter at the dinner and was preparing himself to say, I offered loyalty to you, you promised loyalty to me, and all of a sudden, his memory showed him that did not happen, and I think he pulled up short. That's just a guess, but I've a lot of conversations with humans over the years.
Except that you testified under oath that you were never pressured to stop an investigation for political purposes. He keeps going back and forth under oath. This guy needs to be tried for perjury. You want to talk about how he's trying to entrap people in the Trump administration with process crimes? He has done this multiple times today.
That's a subject for
committed perjury
investigations, not something I can comment on sitting here.
But you reached that conclusion as far as Secretary Clinton was concerned. But you're not reaching a conclusion as far as this administration is concerned. Are you aware of anything that would lead you to believe that information exists that could coerce members of the administration or blackmail the administration?
McCain is clearly showing signs of age. Senator. They're trying to gavel him down, telling him that he's out of time. And quite frankly, he really wasn't able to get his points across. Cornyn made the points very succinctly as to what McCain was doing, but did it far more succinctly and pointedly. Now we're going to go to another questioner. This is going back to Burr, who is the chair of the committee. This may be the end of the individual questions.
Be there at 1 o'clock. We have about 3 minutes.
Another 20
I'd like
minutes.
to have order. Photographers.
Again, you're listening live coverage. I'm David Knight from Infowars.com. This is live coverage of the Senate Intelligence Committee talking to James Comey, trying to find something to come after Donald Trump for. And yet we have had James Comey multiple times now state and also imply, sometimes directly stated, that he was politically pressured to stop the investigation. In direct contradiction of what he testified about a month ago, just before he was fired. And of course, he said that a couple of months after these private meetings that he's now saying, well, he was pressuring me privately to shut down the investigation for political purposes. So he has committed perjury. He has also talked about how he leaked information to the New York Times. He has shut down New York Times articles as fake news. It's been an interesting couple of hearings here. Let's hear what is going to be coming up next from the chair, Senator Burr.
That we're grateful to them with the level of cooperation that they have shown us, with the trust we've built between both organizations, the Congress and the Bureau. We couldn't do our job if it wasn't for their willingness.
Again, this guy is hopelessly involved with the intelligence community. He will not go to where the Senate Intelligence Committee needs to go, and that is oversight and investigation of multiple violations of the law by the FBI, by the NSA, the involvement, the open involvement by current and past officials of the intelligence services in our politics. The politicization of these intelligence agencies is something that the Senate Intelligence Committee should be investigating, and instead they aren't. Instead, they're doing the same thing that Hillary Clinton did back with the DNC as that was beginning, redirecting everybody away from her criminal actions and to this boogeyman of the Russians, the red herring. They're doing the same thing. The real story here is, what did the FBI, the NSA, the CIA do, directly violating laws? And we just had the FISA court declassify a statement telling us that they're violating the law. They're raising the flag. These people are trying to bury that and misdirect it towards Trump, towards the Russians. When the reality is, the story here, as Rand Paul has said, is the use of the intelligence community for political ends. Grassley has said that as well in a letter to Comey. That's what needs to be investigated. That's what's not being talked about. That's what people like Richard Burr are covering up, and that's his responsibility to investigate.
For your appearance, and there clearly still remain a number of questions. And the one thing I want to commit to you, and more importantly, I think, Chairman, I want to commit to all those who are still potentially watching and following. There's still a lot of unanswered questions, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to get the facts out. The American people deserve to know. There's the questions around implications of Trump officials and the Russians, but there's also the macro issue of what the Russians did and continue to do. And I think it is very important that all Americans realize that threat is real. It is continuous. It is not just towards our nation. It is all towards all Western democracies, and we have to come to a solution set. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Director Comey, thank you once again on behalf of the committee. This hearing is adjourned.
And there you can see that they are recessing. They've also talked about going into a private hearing on intelligence, so we'll continue to watch this as it unfolds. We're going to go back to David Nunn a little bit later. He's got the live feed coverage of what he's doing, but they are breaking up live right now. We'll have more information for you here in just a few minutes. There with the Senate Intelligence Committee. Now let's stop. The point David Knight was making, as we were taking that live feed with his live analysis at the InfoWars News Center in Austin, Texas, picking up the feed from D.C., if you're tuning in and wondering what you're hearing, is that it's now in the news, it's confirmed. Obama was using the NSA in the 2016 election to spy on Trump and his opponents to try to basically derail the situation and to basically try to win it for Hillary. We know that. That other elements of our intelligence agencies and people inside the DNC began to leak information to try to counter that and to try to stop that, because they understood that the deep state was trying to keep a nationalist populist candidate from coming to power. That's exactly what they did. They knew what they were doing. And so a major counterbalance came in to counter it. And that's what's happened. But I told you that the Comey memo was just a excuse for them to put out disinformation, and that when the memo came out, it wouldn't say what they'd said, because Comey is a snake. And he's not going to put in a memo that the president tried to, basically commit crimes and tell him what to do on a criminal investigation with Russia, and then go testify to Congress that that was the case. Except if he was keeping the memo back illegally and not filing it with the Justice Department so he could use it in case he wanted to. But then he now comes out and testifies that that's not the case, and that the New York Times and others got it wrong, what was in the memo. So let's go ahead and go through some of the clips. Here is Marco Rubio talking about General Flynn today, and was Trump trying to influence the Russia investigation or influence things on Flynn? Let's go to that clip.
Director Comey, the meeting in the Oval Office where he made the request about Mike Flynn, was that the only time he asked you to hopefully let it go?
Yes.
And in that meeting, as you understood it, he was asking not about the general Russia investigation. He was asking very specifically about the jeopardy that Flynn was in himself.
That's how I understood it, yes, sir.
And as you perceived it, while it was a request that you hoped you did away with it, you perceived it as an order, given his position, the setting, and the like, and some of the circumstances.
Yes.
At the time, did you say anything to the president about that is not an appropriate request, or did you tell the White House counsel that is not an appropriate request? Someone needs to go tell the president that he can't do these things?
I didn't, no.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. I think as I said earlier, I think the circumstances were such that
you had a legal requirement to do that,
and didn't have the presence of mind. And I don't know. I don't want to make you sound like I'm Captain Courageous. I don't know whether, even if I had the presence of mind, I would have said to the president, "Sir, that's wrong." I don't know whether I would have. Okay. But in the moment, it didn't come to my mind. What came to my mind is, be careful what you say. And so I said, I agree, Flynn is a good guy.
So if the Attorney General or senior officials at the Department of Justice opposes a specific investigation, can they halt that FBI investigation?
In theory, yes.
Has it happened?
Not in my experience, because it would be a big deal to tell the FBI to stop doing something that without an appropriate purpose. I mean, oftentimes they give us opinions that we don't see a case there, and so you ought to stop investing resources in it. But I'm talking about a situation where we were told to stop something for a political reason. That would be a very big deal. It's not happened in my experience.
Now we're going to play that clip again. The first part was Marco Rubio today. And we're hearing that he did feel like he was being influenced and being ordered around. And then we've got the clip from May 3rd, 2 months after the supposed memo in February with the president, where he did try to influence him, that was leaked to the press, saying that he didn't feel like anybody tried to influence him. But then the media spun that and said, oh, Jones, fake news again. Clearly they're asking about the Attorney General of the Justice Department. No, he's asked about that, and then he comes out and he says, nobody. It'd be a big deal. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Mainstream media saying I lied or edited the clip. But let's play a clip from today that really puts that to bed. Here's Senator Burr asking specifically if he was told to shut down the Russia investigation or influence. This is today, Daily Beast. Today, BuzzFeed. You liars, you fake news, garbage sellers that lied. I mean, the Huffington Post had the headline today that the top story is Marco Rubio's hair. This isn't funny that we've got the deep state and both political parties trying to destroy President Trump, trying to cut our taxes and restore our republic, claiming he works for foreign powers with no evidence in a dangerous witch hunt, when they're the ones that sold us out to globalists. Yeah, Marco Rubio hair nabs a starring role during Comey testimony. That's one of the top stories on the Huffington Post. Because they've got these readers that think everything's funny. I was on the Daily Beast the other day, and I was also on the BuzzFeed. They had whole articles about how to eat boogers. That's what the grown intellectual left reads all day, because they keep them in this arrested development mode where they think this is all funny, watching the whole world gang up on our president, where they think it's funny to watch gays getting thrown off buildings by jihadis that are then brought into our country by the liberals and women putting on hijabs. You people are mentally ill and crazy. But that's equilibrium. You're given a total country, everything free, bunch of spoiled brats, so you want to burn the house down over our dead body scumbags. Here's Senator Burr today confirming what Comey said on May 3rd, that nobody, including the president, tried to make him shut down the Russia investigation. Exactly what Donald Trump said.
Director Comey, did the president at any time ask you to stop the FBI investigation into Russian involvement in the 2016 U.S. elections?
Not to my understanding, no.
Did any individual working for this administration, including the Justice Department, ask you to stop the Russian investigation?
No.
Director, when the president requested that you, and I quote, let Flynn go, General Flynn had an unreported contact with the Russians, which is an offense. And if press accounts are right, there might have been discrepancies between facts and his FBI testimony. In your estimation, was General Flynn at that time in serious legal jeopardy? And in addition to that, do you sense that the president was trying to obstruct justice or just seek for a way for Mike Flynn to save face, given he had already been fired?
Well, General Flynn at that point in time was in legal jeopardy. There was an open FBI criminal investigation of his statements in connection with the Russian contacts and the contacts themselves. And so that was my assessment at the time. I don't think it's for me to say whether the conversation I had with the president was an effort to obstruct. I took it as a very disturbing thing, very concerning, but that's a conclusion I'm sure the special counsel will work towards to try and understand what the intention was there and whether that's an offense.
But you didn't give it to the Justice Department, even though it was so disturbing. that General Flynn was at a dinner that Putin was at publicly at a TV gala. Oh, my gosh. Arrest Megyn Kelly, then. And I'm not saying arrest Megyn Kelly before they run those headlines. Wow, that is mind-blowing right there. But, of course, what does the so-called memo say? Well, I hope you can see it your way to leave him alone. He's a good guy. What do you think prosecutors talk about all day? But the president, he's not allowed to talk like that. Clearly, this is all an attack on the president and made up.
Here's something you won't hear on the fake news. According to the Daily Caller, Trump's approval rating is actually higher than Bill Clinton's was at the same point in his presidency. That's despite all the negative media attention, the wild goose hunt over bogus charges of Russia's involvement in the election, and the unending chorus of anti-Trump talking heads on network news. Even the liberal rag Newsweek magazine had to admit Trump's approval rating was better than Bill Clinton's at 160 days in. While Trump's approval rating's only hovering around the 40% mark, he's still doing better than Clinton, who only had 37% approval at 138 days in. Of course, Trump's disapproval rating's also higher than Clinton's at 57% compared to Clinton's 49%. But what do you expect? Bill Clinton was lauded as the poster boy of everything cool about modern liberalism. Meanwhile, Trump and his family have been put under a microscope and have been under constant assault even before he got elected. Despite all the negativity, Trump's numbers continue to climb, which is proof that the fake media's narrative is dying. Reporting for Infowars.com, I'm Jay Michaels.
Does your shampoo leave your scalp itchy and your hair dry and frizzy? Introducing Emmerich's Essentials Natural Herbal Shampoo, made with organic oils for an exhilarating fragrance. Enjoy all-natural and chemical-free shampoo for a healthier you. Gentle enough for color-treated hair and sensitive scalps. Only pure, organic, antiseptic herbs that have demonstrated antimicrobial activity are used. Go natural. Go organic. No parabens or sulfates. Nothing to weigh you down. Get cleaner, healthier hair with Emmerich's Essentials Tea Tree Shampoo. This natural tea tree shampoo is made in the USA and certified made with organic ingredients, unlike other hair care products that claim to be organic but are not. For a silkier, smoother, shinier, clean look, try Emmerich's Essentials Herbal Shampoo. Feel more natural. Feel more confident. Feel the difference. Restore your alluring characteristics to a younger landscape. Rejuvenate, reinvigorate, revitalize your hair. Enhance your hair care experience today with Emmerich's Essentials Natural Herbal Tea Tree Shampoo.
You'll find Emmerich's Essentials at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody knows that when I see something that looks negative for our cause of restoring the Republic, cutting taxes, defeating the globalists, getting us out of the UN, restoring our sovereignty, when I see something bad happening, I'll tell you. When we're losing, I'll tell you. I don't put spin on things. But when you look at what happened today, this was a disaster for Comey. We've got a clip coming up, because I got to do these in order, where he says, I'm kind of cowardly, hid out with my wife. You know, I had this stuff, it was disturbing, but I didn't tell anybody. Because that's a crime if he thinks something's going on illegal, which he's already said through his surrogates. And then he didn't give it to Congress. He didn't give it to the Intelligence Committee. He didn't give it to his superiors at the Justice Department. And it goes on. And then admitting Loretta Lynch tried to influence him because he knows there's evidence of it. Or he wouldn't be saying that. I mean, he knows she did it, obviously, but he knows they've got evidence, so he's trying to cover up now like it was no big deal. It was illegal for Bill Clinton to get on that plane with her, and that's why he came out and reopened the investigation for just a couple days. He's now admitted that to make it look like he wasn't being told what to do to make it look like he hadn't committed crimes. This is incredible. They've started an investigation on Trump, and it's totally blown up in their face. But the whore, lying, Decepticon, sewage, prostitute, New World Order, dinosaur, anti-America, evil media is in full spin mode of, oh, more evidence of Russians. Things just got deeper for Trump. This totally validated Trump on not trying to influence on Russia. It totally validated everything Trump said. And then Comey admits he's the leaker. Wow. I mean, boom, boom, boom. This is explosive. I feel sorry for the crew today. I am bouncing off the walls. Well, they're bouncing off the walls, too. This is incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open the phones up. Gavin McGinnis is coming up. We're going to play a bunch of these clips. I'm going to play the Loretta Lynch when we come back. I'm going to play the cowardly clip. I'm going to play the New York Times Russia collusion story wrong, not true. That's why they're saying it's now a criminal investigation, hoping Flynn didn't answer the questions right, or they can catch a bank account that's wrong or something, you know, they're dealing with something else, or paperwork that wasn't filed, because they're desperate. Oh, praise God for this. You talk about the Bible says you'll dig a pit for somebody and you'll fall in it. So many times my enemies attack me, and then what they do to me ends up happening to them. I don't even have to do it. And I just think Trump has providence. We should pray for Trump. We should pray for America. We should pray for this whole world and for peace right now. Briefly, please support the broadcast. David Knight and that crew over there did such a superlative job with 2 + 3 hours of live coverage. They kind of ended it early because Comey was getting destroyed in there. They looked like they had their asses handed to them. Praise God. This incredible crew, everybody, you the listeners that make it all possible, our affiliates, our sponsors, support them all. And please purchase products at InfoWarsStore.com. The globalists have tried to boycott us. They've tried to take our Google advertising. They have. They've tried to shut down our YouTube revenue, about 75%. Paul Watson's shown those graphs. But thanks to you, we're still able to slightly expand in the face of these attacks. But we got to keep moving upstream here, folks, like salmon. We can't give in. The new, amazing, best-selling toothpaste is back in, Super Blue, in a new, even better, more space-age tube. 33% off out of the gates, our bestseller, fluoride-free, with the great iodine and the colloidal silver and more. InfoWarsStore.com. Or 888-253-3139. Super Mill Vitality's back in stock. Amazing concentrated herbs. Just try it. We got so many other, like liver cleanse has been sold out for a while. It's back. Read about the key herbs there and how good they are for your liver and gallbladder, and more in the gallbladder cleanse. And the videos we have to break it down. InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com. About living in a free world and being healthy and being happy and being energetic. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. We are the tip of the spear, and you have funded us because you are the tip of the spear. Hour 2, 70 seconds away. Tell everybody tune in. Send out the link, InfoWars.com. Send out your local affiliate radio station link today.